In Daniel 7, the title Ancient of Days stands out as one of the most profound revelations of God's character and role in the grand narrative of history. This title invites us to see God as the eternal, sovereign ruler who presides over time and events, directing them towards his divine purpose. The name Ancient of Days carries an immense weight of authority, justice, and timeless wisdom, reminding us that God existed before all things and reigns supreme over all. When we examine Daniel 7, we find a vision that unveils the succession of earthly kingdoms and their eventual judgment. In verse 9, Daniel describes the Ancient of Days taking his seat. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. This imagery is rich with symbolism. The white garment and hair, like pure wool, symbolize God's holiness and purity. The fiery throne represents his consuming justice and power, and the wheels, like burning fire, suggest his ability to move and act with perfect precision throughout the universe. This scene is not just a display of majesty, but a declaration of judgment. In verses 10 to 11, we see a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. The Ancient of Days presides over a celestial courtroom where the destinies of nations and individuals are determined. This judgment is not arbitrary, but based on the records in the books, showing God's fairness and transparency. The prophecy in Daniel 7 outlines the rise and fall of 4 earthly kingdoms, depicted as beasts, each representing empires driven by ambition and power. Yet, in the midst of this chaotic succession of human governments, the Ancient of Days is steadfast, unshaken by the turmoil of the nations. His sovereignty assures us that no matter how powerful these kingdoms appear, they are temporary and subject to his ultimate authority. This theme is echoed in the New Testament as well. In 1 Timothy 1, verse 7, Paul writes, Now unto the King, eternal, immortal, invisible, the only wise God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen. This eternal nature of God as the Ancient of Days is a comforting reminder that he is not bound by time or human limitations. He sees the end from the beginning, as Isaiah 46:10 declares, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. The Ancient of Days not only judges, but also promises to establish an everlasting kingdom. In Daniel 7, verse 13 to 14, Daniel sees, One like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed. This passage reveals the transfer of authority to the Son of Man, Jesus Christ, who will reign forever. It connects the Ancient of Days to the fulfillment of his plan of redemption and the ultimate restoration of his kingdom. Studying Daniel 7 from the perspective of the Ancient of Days allows us to see history not as a series of random events, but as part of a divine plan orchestrated by an eternal and sovereign God. It challenges us to lift our eyes above the chaos of the world and trust in the one who holds all things in his hands. This perspective also offers hope, reminding us that injustice, suffering, and evil will not have the final word. The Ancient of Days will ensure that righteousness prevails. As you reflect on this profound title and the vision in Daniel 7, I encourage you to delve deeper into the chapter, seeking to understand it through the lens of the Ancient of Days, rather than a human point of view. Let the timeless nature of God's sovereignty inspire you to place your trust in him, knowing that his judgments are perfect and his kingdom is eternal. What does the title Ancient of Days mean to you personally, and how does it shape your understanding of God's role in history and your life? Share your thoughts in the comments below.